One of the most enjoyable and greatest joys of my current career right now is when I get to do one-on-one calls or group coaching sessions with my students or those members involved in my 10x Google Ads community. And the reason for why I love these sessions so much is it allows me to really hone in on an individual's campaign and give them some expert coaching and really help assist them with the strategies and optimizations that they need to take their campaign and their account and the results of their business to that next level. And another reason for why I like those coaching sessions is because it allows me to field questions from different business owners or Google Ads professionals and to really cut through what is true and what is a mistake or what is a myth when it comes to Google Ads. So what I wanted to do right here on my YouTube channel is to give you 3 of the most common mistakes or myths that people ask me about Google Ads. And I want to really break down why they're myths and why they are some of the biggest mistakes that you can make in Google Ads. And rather than get into, well, someone said this and someone said that and get into a bit of an argument, I'm going to show you some real life examples and also break down the Google data and how Google works. Because when we do that, you can see why a lot of these so-called strategies are actually wrong. And I will admit that some of these myths do make me laugh a little bit because I kind of wonder where they actually came from. And it only makes me think that they must come from the same people who saw a Yeti walk across Yosemite Park a little over a month ago, or for those that still believe that Elvis is not dead and he's still alive.
I've got photographic proof that Elvis is still alive.
So with all that said, let's get straight into the first myth that I want to debunk so that you don't make that same mistake in your own Google Ads campaigns. Now, this first one, because it relates to Performance Max campaigns, it is quite a new one. And the myth is this, that people are out there saying don't have multiple asset groups for small e-commerce stores. So what they mean by that, if you've got a small e-commerce store where you've got a limited amount of products, so 10 products, 20 products, 50 products, even up to 100 products, there's some clear instructions coming from people, which is not correct, for you to only have one asset group. Now, I kind of know where this one does come from, and it comes from the fact that you shouldn't over-segment your products or your product feeds. And the reason for that is you do want to allow Google the room to better run some different testing so that it knows the exact type of products to show to different audiences and to different demographics, depending on their different search terms and also dependent on the time of the day or the day of the week. So I do believe that you shouldn't be over-segmenting your campaigns or your product feeds. But having said that, that does not mean that you can't have product category focused asset groups, even if you only have a collection of maybe 5 or 6 or even up to 10 products in each of those asset groups. Now, as I said, to avoid needless arguments in the comment section of this video, let's jump into a screen share right now so I can show you 2 very clear examples of small e-commerce stores that are having huge success with their Performance Max campaigns with small products and multiple asset groups. Let's have a look. Now, the first one I want to highlight here is this Performance Max campaign in here. And you can see that they're running a cost per conversion of $7.50 or $7.44. And they've also got a ROAS score of 7.84. So they're performing really, really well. And only 12 months ago, this cost per conversion was up at around about $13 or $14. Now, when we actually go through and break it down, you can see that they've got a campaign running now that has 3 different asset groups in it. But when you actually break it down, you can see from here that they only have a total of 29 products, and that includes all of their different variations. Now, the reason for why we kept this in one campaign with 3 different asset groups is because they do have 3 different products, each with different color variations. They've got a baby earmuffs product. They've then also got an audio headphones product. And then finally, they have a kids product. So their earmuffs are exactly the same, except they've got one for babies and then one for toddlers and smaller kids. And we've had great success in keeping these all in the same campaign, but with different asset groups. And as you can see that these asset groups only have on average about 10 products in each one. And now what I want to do is I want to take you over to another example. This one at the moment, they have 79 different products, so slightly larger, but once again, not a large e-commerce store. So this one has 2 separate Performance Max campaigns, and each campaign has another further 2 asset groups. So once again, it's broken down so that each asset group only has about that 15 to 20 in each asset group. And as you can see from here, we've got ROAS scores of 5.6 and also ones of nearly hitting 11. Now, what's actually interesting with this one is that we even broke this one out further. So what we did here is that we saw from these 4 product categories, we could see that there was 2 product categories that were outperforming the the others, but we're getting less traffic. So we moved these ones into a separate campaign. And as you can see, since then, we've nearly been able to double the ROAS for that individual group of products, or those two group of products. And once again, as you can see through here, this one originally had 4 asset groups. We then paused 2 of them and moved them over to its own campaign, which is in here. So we've now got 2 Performance Max campaigns running with 2 asset groups each. So as you can see in those 2 clear examples, that it is completely wrong to assume that you shouldn't have multiple asset groups inside your Performance Max campaigns if you have a smaller e-commerce store. Now, I still do agree that within those asset groups, you want to have them based around individual sub-product categories. So as long as those group of products make sense going together, it is totally okay to have them in different asset groups. And one of the core benefits of this is that, remember, with the asset groups, the main benefit of asset groups is that you can then tailor your individual images, any YouTube videos, and especially your ad copy to better tailor those individual product categories, so that you're not just going for branded type ad copy. You can actually break it down to the individual products. Remember that first example I showed you where we had an asset group which was targeting for infants, and we had another asset group which was targeting for toddlers. One of the benefits of breaking that out is you can then have individual message for those infant products with slightly different messaging for those toddler products. So that's the first one. Don't believe the myth that you can't break down your Performance Max campaigns into different asset groups if you're running a small e-commerce store. And now let's go to the number 2 biggest myth or mistake that I get questioned about in Google Ads. And I have to say that this one has been around for a good 5 or 6 years. And for some reason, it just does not go away. And this one is all about where people say, don't pause your campaigns, just lower your budget. Now, I do want to clarify that I'm not saying that it is okay to pause your campaigns and then enable them and pause them and then enable them. My firm belief is that you should keep campaigns running for as long as possible. And the only reason that you would pause a campaign is if you've got an extended holiday coming up, say for example, Christmas time, and you want to stop your advertising for around 2 to 3 weeks, or if you're going through a major website redevelopment or branding and you want to pause your marketing for a period of about 2 to 3 weeks. What a lot of people will go through and say is that you should never pause your campaign, but you should just lower your budget so that Google can keep listening to your campaign data. Now, my problem with that is this. You have to remember that the level that you've set your budget is a core factor in how your campaign runs. So if you change your campaign budget drastically, it's essentially the same as pausing your campaign. The reason for that is this. Imagine you've got 2 campaigns which are exactly the same. They're using the same keywords, they're targeting the same products, they're using the same ad copy, they've got the same bidding strategies and account strategy. The only difference is the budget. One has a budget at $100 a day and the other one has a budget at $500 a day. Those 2 campaigns and the way that Google targets different users and when Google shows its ads and how aggressively it bids, those campaigns are very, very different campaigns. And the reason for that is because the budget gives a signal to Google of this is how much money you have to achieve those results. So it's also listening or looking for data dependent on that budget level. So if you bring your budget down from $100 a day down to $1 a day, the actual data that it is listening for is irrelevant. Let's now put another level of data on this. With Google Ads, and I've had this confirmed through multiple calls direct to Google offices in both Sydney and also in Dublin. And what has been confirmed is that Google's data, or its listening data, so to speak, which I have to admit is only the term that I am using. I wouldn't actually refer to it as that. But that data, let's just call it conversion data, reaches back 90 days. So you've got about 3 months of previous data that Google will draw upon to help your new conversion targeting. Now, we also do know that the last 30 days are the most important, but it does reach back that little bit further for about 3 months. So for example, if you're coming up to Christmas and you want to take a 3-week break, rather than dropping your budgets from say $50 a day down to $1 a day, my strong recommendation would just be to pause your campaign. Now, if you're worried about that and you kind of believe the myth or you're just not quite sure, let me show you some data right now that will completely debunk that myth. So the example I'm showing you right now is for an e-commerce brand, and this is running their Performance Max campaigns. And what we can see through here is that this is leading up to November, and then this is them after the Christmas period. Now, the other thing that what I do want to point out is that for this company and this brand, the majority of their sales happen in the last 3 months of the year. But look at these ROAS scores. You can see that we paused that campaign. Let's switch it over to daily. And you can see from here, we paused that campaign from December the 19th through to the 3rd of January. And as you can see, the campaign did not miss a beat at all. When we restarted it, this conversion value cost jumped straight back up to where it was. Some would even argue better results. The cost per conversion was a little bit lower, around about the same, and our conversion rate also stayed the same. So you can see there was no difference in the results. What I also want to point out from here as well is that we actually drastically also reduced the budget. So after we had paused that campaign, when we restarted it at the client's request, because they were taking an extended break, they wanted a little bit of a lower spend to hit through. So as you can see from here, pausing the account had absolutely zero negative effect on the account performance. So don't for 1 minute believe that you should be lowering your budget and that if you're gonna pause your campaign for any more than 24 hours that you're gonna lose all of your data. As you can see, we had an extended period where their campaign paused and it jumped straight back to where it was before in terms of results. Now, one thing I do wanna stress is that this is generally the results that I do see when we go through and pause campaigns. I've now been pausing campaigns for clients who want it over the Christmas, New Year's period for around about 3 years now. And sometimes it can take a week or two to get back up to the previous results, but usually this is the results that you will see. And now that brings us to the third and final Google Ads myth that I want to break today. And this is a big one, and that is that Google Ads is a scam and it just doesn't work. Now, this cannot be the furthest thing from the truth. I unashamedly say that Google Ads has changed my life. And I don't say that lightly. And the reason for why I say that is because if it wasn't for Google Ads, I would not have been able to build my first business. And then on top of that, since 2010, I have helped countless other businesses and Google Ads professionals put in the correct strategies and optimizations so that they can see Google Ads work for their own businesses and also their clients' businesses. But unfortunately, throughout those years, I've also seen many cases of people wasting money on Google Ads and not seeing the same level of results. But can I be clear? The problem is not Google Ads. The problem is one of three things. And that is that the Google Ads campaign is not being set up or optimized correctly. The second issue or the second problem is that the landing page or the website is not user-friendly and has not been designed correctly to see conversions. And then thirdly, the final issue is that the product offering or the pricing is incorrect. So it is important to note that for success with Google Ads, you need to have those three things running correctly, in that you need to have your campaign set up and optimized correctly. You need to have a high functioning landing page, and you also need to have the correct service offer or the correct pricing. And when you get those three things right, that's when you have a powerful Google Ads campaign. So what I want to do right now to help you, especially for those people who are having problems with their landing pages, I want to give you access to a free extended user testing session. Now, this is a session that I ran in my paid Google Ads 10X community, and this is run by a UX expert who has run over 10,500 user tests. And in this session, he's going to break down the top 5 things that you need on your landing page so that it can be called a high converting landing page. He goes through a practical teaching, and then it also includes some live reviews of different landing pages and ways that they can be improved. And if you want to see that session for free right now, all you need to do is to go through and follow that link in the description below. And then secondly, if you need help to make sure that you've got your campaign set up correctly and that you're optimizing them correctly, I want you to go through and watch this playlist right here, which is called my Get Google Ready in 2023. And it shows you how to set up and optimize all of the different campaigns that you'll need for Google Ads in 2023. Thank you again for joining me. My name is Aaron Young. I'm from Define Digital Academy, and I'm your 15,000 hour Google Ads Master. I look forward to seeing you next time, and also hope to see you in that extended masterclass right now. See ya.